My name is Evelyn Porter, and at 62 years old, I have lived long enough to understand a hard truth about the world we live in. Power rarely announces itself loudly. Most of the time, it hides behind polite smiles, confident speeches, and expensive suits, quietly corrupting everything it touches until someone is brave enough to expose it. I live in a modest colonial house in Chevy Chase, Maryland, just outside Washington, D.C. in spring. The air smells of cherry blossoms, and the streets look peaceful, almost innocent. But beneath that beauty lies a city driven by ambition, status, and influence. I have lived here for more than 30 years, long enough to watch idealistic young people arrive full of hope and leave hardened by compromise. This house once felt full of life. My husband Thomas was a career Foreign Service officer. He served in Africa and Eastern Europe and believed deeply in diplomacy, honesty, and public service. He believed that integrity mattered, even when no one was watching. When he died of cancer 10 years ago, those beliefs became the foundation on which I continued to live. We raised our son Marcus in this very home. Despite offers from elite private schools through Thomas's diplomatic connections, I insisted Marcus attend public school. I wanted him grounded, not entitled. I wanted him to understand people, not privilege. Marcus grew into a thoughtful, principled man, the kind who listens more than he speaks and stands firm when it matters. After college, Marcus chose a path that surprised many people in this city. He became a high school history teacher in Arlington, Virginia. The salary was modest and the hours were long, but he loved it. He stayed late to tutor students who struggled. He coached debate club. He believed history mattered because it showed us what happens when power goes unchecked and truth is ignored. Ironically, it was power that would soon test him in the most personal and painful way possible. Marcus met Claire Clean in the fall of 2022 at a volunteer event for a local literacy program. She was 29. Intelligent, driven, with dark curls that refused to stay in place and a laugh that filled a room effortlessly. She worked as a policy analyst for a non-profit focused on education reform, and like Marcus, she believed deeply in equal opportunity and meaningful change. They bonded quickly, talking for hours about schools, inequality, and the frustration of working in systems that moved too slowly. Within months, they were inseparable. When Marcus first brought Claire home for Sunday dinner, I made roast chicken, cornbread, and apple pie. The same meal I had cooked for him since he was a child. "Mum," Marcus said, his eyes shining, "Claire gets it. She's not into the DC game. She wants real change." I liked her immediately. She helped clear the table without being asked and asked thoughtful questions about Thomas's overseas postings. She listened with genuine interest. But when the conversation turned to her family, something shifted in her expression. "My dad is intense," she said carefully. "He has strong opinions about everything." That was when I learned her father was Congressman Harold Clean, a powerful Republican representing Virginia's 10th District. Harold Klein was a rising star in Washington. He appeared regularly on cable news, chaired an influential subcommittee, and branded himself as a champion of family values and fiscal responsibility. His campaign billboards lined highways across Northern Virginia, his face stern and reassuring. On television, he looked trustworthy. In person, I would soon learn how different he truly was. Our first dinner at the Klein family home took place at their mansion in McLean. Marble floors, original artwork, and a wine cellar larger than my living room made it clear that wealth defined this household. Harold Klein studied Marcus with a practiced smile, the kind politicians use when measuring someone's worth. So, Harold said, swirling his wine, "You're a teacher." "Yes, sir," Marcus replied politely. "Noble profession," Harold said, his tone condescending. "But it doesn't pay much, does it? Ever think about law, lobbying, something with real influence?" Marcus remained calm. "I love the classroom, sir. Shaping young minds is influence." Harold chuckled. "Idealistic. Cute. But ideals don't buy houses like this." Claire shot him a sharp look and told him to stop, while his wife Elaine quickly changed the subject, smoothing things over with forced smiles. But the damage had already been done. I saw Marcus's jaw tighten. I saw the humiliation settle quietly in his eyes. When Marcus proposed to Claire during a hike in Shenandoah National Park, surrounded by endless green valleys, she said yes through tears. It was a simple, beautiful moment. When Harold found out, he immediately took control. "The wedding will be at the Hedums," he announced. Overlooking the White House. "My treat." Marcus tried to object politely, offering to contribute. Harold waved him off. "Son, your teacher's salary wouldn't cover the flowers. Let the adults handle it." From that moment on, the insults became routine. At suit fittings, Harold joked about Marcus's budget. At venue tours, he reminded him that Claire was used to the best and hoped he could keep up. Each comment chipped away at Marcus's confidence. One afternoon, Claire came to my house for tea. "Mum," she asked softly, "can I call you that?" When I nodded, she confessed, "My dad measures people by money. He wanted me to marry a donor's son." I hugged her and told her that Marcus measured people by character, something far rarer in this city. But I could see how deeply Harold's behavior affected them both. Marcus began losing sleep, questioning whether he was enough. And I began questioning Harold Klein. Years of working at the State Department had taught me to recognize hypocrisy. Men who preach morality the loudest often have the most to hide. One night, while scrolling through the news, I came across a small, easily overlooked article mentioning anonymous tips about misused campaign funds connected to Klein's office. Nothing had been proven, nothing had been pursued, but the seed of doubt had been planted. I met an old colleague, Barbara, for coffee in Georgetown and shared my concerns. She listened quietly and then said, "Evelyn, you're not wrong. I've heard whispers too. Kickbacks, defense contractors, money quietly moving where it shouldn't." That was enough. I hired a private investigator named Victor Lang, a former FBI agent. We met at a quiet cafe in Bethesda, and I handed him money from my emergency savings. "Dig into Congressman Harold Klein," I said. "Everything." 2 weeks later, Victor returned with an envelope thick with documents. "Evelyn," he said grimly, "this man is dirty." The evidence was overwhelming. Harold Klein had accepted illegal kickbacks from lobbyists disguised as consulting fees. Campaign funds had been diverted for personal use. Luxury vacations were billed as constituent meetings. A Florida condo had been purchased with laundered money. There were multiple affairs with staffers, all silenced with non-disclosure agreements and hush payments. Emails, bank records, hotel receipts, everything was there. Federal investigators were already circling. One leak would bring it all down. I locked the documents in my safe and struggled with what to do. Exposing Harold would destroy the wedding and shatter Claire's world. She loved her father despite his flaws, so I waited. I hoped, foolishly, that he would at least behave. The wedding day arrived in June, radiant and elegant. The ceremony at the National Cathedral was breathtaking. The reception at the Haddams overlooked the White House, symbolizing everything Harold valued. Claire looked beautiful. Marcus looked proud, nervous, and deeply in love. Their vows were heartfelt, and when Marcus said, "for richer or poorer," my eyes filled with tears. I thought, maybe we had made it through. Then came the toasts.